Western Challenge. We're moving ahead to our second best of three of the day. We already saw Fnatic absolutely pound Empire, advancing their way into the upper bracket finals. Now it's win or go home for these two teams. It's going to be ex-RoX.KIS taking on Na'Vi. Now, Na'Vi finished high in our overall group stage standings, but not high enough to earn a bye, coming in third place. RoX actually knocked C9 down to the lower bracket as well. This is, again, a lower bracket elimination match. Na'Vi losing to Fnatic in the very first round, and RoX coming up a bit short against EG. So whichever one of these teams can't bring it together, can't get a win, they're done. And they will be walking away with something. We do have a prize for everyone who makes it into the playoffs, but still, they are certainly looking ahead and hoping they'll be able to make it into the grand finals. Fnatic, again, the team that is the closest to that as of right now. Let's take a look at these two teams, see how they stack up man for man. And, yeah, we'll open it up. Whoop, hang on. There it is. RoX.KIS, who snuck into our playoffs right at the bubble. They were the 6th seed overall coming out of the group stage, I should say. We had 8 teams there. They finished 2-5. Not the most impressive record, but just good enough to make it into postseason play. They're led by GoBlack, of course, as the captain. He's on hard support. They got BZZ in the carry. Mid is played by Solo, and I'll tell you what, Solo's mid is quite legit. Yol on support, and Sadoy out in the off lane. They're going to be tested very mightily looking ahead to Na'Vi. Now, as of recently, Na'Vi has, for lack of a better way to put it, in the eyes of many, and I would say in the eyes of most, been underperforming, and this tournament is no exception. They're led by Puppey on the hard support, of course, Havos the hard carry with the most popular player on the planet, Dindi. In mid, Phonix out in the off lane, and Kuro on support. They finished 4th overall in our standings. I actually got that wrong. Thought they finished 3rd. It was 4th. They did finish with a pretty decent record, 5-2. It was kind of a toss-up in the top few seeds. It was mostly the points that dictated who came out in what order. But even though they did finish 4th, they did really have a good, they were in a good position to make a good run here, but Fnatic was a bit too much for them to handle in their first round match, and they've been waiting this match for a couple of days now, and certainly have been keeping an eye on the play here in the Western Challenge. Bringing you the coverage is going to be me, myself, I'm AC, and I'm joined by Trouf. Trouf has been here with us throughout the whole Western Challenge, and we're beginning to really get into the meat now. Now that we're down to the elimination matches, more and more teams are going to be going out on a day-to-day basis. We're really going to see the overall picture begin to take shape in a very, very big way. How do you feel about Na'Vi, man? Again, I think the opinion of most is they have not been playing up to the potential we're used to seeing.
It's hard to say because they've been doing a lot of different things with their draft, honestly. I think that's one of the things that Puppey's just such a smart drafter.
Right.
I've been seeing them, quite honestly, and I don't know if they're doing this intentionally, but I don't want to say copying because that's like a negative connotation, but they've been borrowing, I should say, a lot of drafts specifically from the Eastern scene. Like, they used a lot of heroes the Chinese used yesterday. They used Enchantress as well as, I think they had Brew, but I could be wrong, but nonetheless, they've been using Lion, but I think was the other one.
Yeah, but they've run Lion for a while. Though.
Yeah, and again, it's not to say that they've been copying, but I really think they've been underperforming.
Following
and
the trends.
Yeah. I don't know, because like they played well yesterday, but they had some really weird lane setups to begin with. I think it's kind of the similar thing with like Fnatic. As long as they get past laning stage, I think that their overall picture and play throughout the game is just so smart. So I would say just focus on logical lanes and they'll be good.
Well, we're going to find out as the draft is already underway. We're about halfway through the first pick phase, just now about to conclude. And a couple of green heroes lead off for Na'Vi. 2 big teamfight monsters in the Tidehunter and the Treant Protector. Doom, once again, making a first pick appearance. And I think we're going to be continuing to see a lot of that. And you and I have kind of joked about it. We talked about it on camera and off camera in the early days, or in the early days of our playoff coverage, I should say. He's a phenomenal hero, and he always has been. It just seems like teams kind of forget about him for long stretches, then rediscover him. And, you know, we even talked about how weird it is that every event, it doesn't matter if it's a LAN or if it's an online event, LANs in particular, though, kind of develop their own internal metagame. And even though we are not on LAN here at the HyperX Western Challenge playoffs, of course, we are here at the HyperX HQ. But even though we're not on LAN, we are beginning to see teams kind of move in the same direction in a lot of different ways. And seeing the first pick Doom, I don't think should be a surprise to anyone at this stage.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like it's so strong. They were complete first pick, and they get it. So it wasn't banned out by Na'Vi, who, by the way, went for this tanky metagame or tanky strat that seems to be prevalent in the metagame as well with the Treant and the Tide. And then we talked about before how Bane isn't really like you think of him as a tanky support, but he kind of is in the sense that he can bounce back that HP, and he has some good starting base stats to begin with. So, like, yeah, I think both teams are kind of geared toward that as we approach the next phase of the draft.
I mean, even aside from Brain Sap, Bane has, I mean, he's got Nightmare that can bail him out of trouble if you want to try to get onto him. And, of course, he has Enfeeble, and especially in the early phases of the game. If you try to gank out a Bane, he throws out an Enfeeble, Nightmare's 1, and if he's level 6, throws out a Fiend's Grip. He, you know, like you said, tanky is a very particular word, but survivable is the word I would use for Bane. Very survivable support, especially in the first 20 minutes or so. Bans moving through, Bat, Lycan, and the Leshrac banned out by Na'Vi. And no Tinker, Invoker, or Enigma going to be made available by RoX. And, of course, they've done their homework. Tinker and Invoker, 2 heroes Na'Vi loves to put Dindy on. And the Enigma is a pick that Na'Vi has been running quite a lot of recent.
Yeah, and actually on the other side, Na'Vi banning out the Leshrac, that's something that's respect to GoBlack, too. If he watched his games yesterday, just played fantastically with that hero.
Oh, yeah.
Setup or not, he was hitting splitters left and right. And not to mention, it's just a very good hero to push. It's also quite good against Treant Protector because the Edict just kind of melts through those towers even with the living armor up. So both a respect ban and just a smart ban in general, I think. You don't normally see that.
Well, still waiting to see which direction Na'Vi wants to go. But let's talk a minute about the resurgence of Tidehunter as well. I mean, Tree has kind of, you can't even call him flavor of the month. People just figured out what he's strong at. If you know how to handle him, you grab a set of boots early on, use Leech Seed, you can run him very aggressively, you can roam with him, and he's just so hard to deal with. But Tidehunter in particular is a hero many teams and ourselves, even talking about it privately, we're kind of big on him. You know, his versatility and what he has to bring to the table is pretty huge in most cases, especially given he can now be played as a core. You can even run him mid if you want, but even off lane, especially on the Dire side, because usually the Radiant off lane is considered to be a little bit better in terms of just what heroes you can put there and how easy it is to leech XP and to try to find some CS. But in particular for the Dire, Tide can actually get some work done using Anchor Smash on the Ancients.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too strong. I really do. I think that buff was too much. I also think that the nerf on Treant on his not living armor, but Leech Seed was actually really significant. I really don't think that. I mean, I think Treant is still great. His living armor is what really makes the hero, but what made him popular as of late was really, you know, well, first GoBlack and then PPD, just finding these level 1 kills. Like, because Leech Seed was so strong then, but it's taken a huge nerf at level 1. It's okay in the subsequent levels, like level 2 through 4, but level 1, that's where we would really see the Treant Protector just go out of, you know, get out of control.
Right.
And I actually don't think he's nearly as good anymore. I think they finally nerfed him enough to where he's actually fair and balanced. But I think he's getting, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I could be wrong. It's still very strong, don't get me wrong. Like, it's still very good, but it wasn't as good as it was before.
Well, Io is now the pickup for Na'Vi. And I'm kind of curious what they want to pair with that. There are some fun things you can do with that, in particular with the Tidehunter. I've seen it before, where you can relocate a Titan in the middle of a fight and have him ravage that way, and he can actually go with items like go mech Shivas or something like that and just skip Blink entirely. Because, I mean, Blink is a significant investment, especially if the Tide's not being played as a core. I mean, 2,100 gold is nothing to sneeze at. That's basically a mechanism. So it does give you an option for that. We actually saw Io played by Empire early today, and they didn't use relocate to the best of my knowledge once. They might have. I may have missed it, but I did not.
Well, it didn't matter even if it was used.
Right.
But I actually don't know why I'm maybe wondering why they picked Wisp into like Brew. Like Brew seems like very good against Wisp because you can totally see the relocate coming. You just pop the ulti, or you can clap beforehand and pop the ulti, and they don't really have any like instant stuns to like lock them down. It's not like a Wisp with, maybe if they get like a Storm would be good. They actually have one more pick, and that actually could be good against like Abaddon and Brew, and so we'll have to wait and see. Abaddon, God, GoBlack plays this hero so well. It's one of the heroes that, like, we talked about this a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of Abaddon per se. I think it really needs the right lineup, but not more than that, like the right player to know exactly how to walk around and where you're most useful. And GoBlack definitely knows how to do that.
Yeah, it's very much, it's one of those heroes that, you know, one thing that I think has really lended itself well to so many heroes being considered viable now in comparison to other major competitive patches, especially leading up to like TI. There are a few heroes that get banned more often than others. Batrider and Lycan are right there on top of the list. Tinker, to a certain extent, as people are realizing just how strong he is. Invoker's always kind of in the mix for that, or at least recently is almost always in the mix for that. But there are the vast majority of heroes that you see played a little bit more above average. I feel like are heroes that you can't just pick them in the sheer strength of the hero and what status they happen to be with the strength of their abilities. I feel like that's not as big a factor as just how good a player is with him. I mean, we saw that especially throughout the qualifiers. Who do know how to run it very well, like Na'Vi, compared to like Goldblack, no matter what team he's on, PPD, etc. And it's like night and day. And I definitely see a Abaddon in that exact same category, where if you know how to play him just right, you can get so much out of him, but you have to be practiced with him and have to have the experience to know exactly what your limits are and exactly what your capabilities are.
Yep. Shadow Fiend here picked up last for Na'Vi. I actually think it's a pretty good pick. I thought Storm would have been nice to be able to like just catch people instantly. It's not the greatest against Doom per se, but it's one of those issues where it's like he's also not bad against Doom because he can catch him before he casts anything. And if you have an Orchids up, then obviously Doom can't cast his ult. So I thought Storm would have been good, but Shadow Fiend's actually not too bad either. Like it's very, very strong. It works well with Wisp, actually, not in the sense of relocate, but keeping him alive, which he desperately needs. Because there actually can be a lot of aggression. Once Brew hits 6, it's almost a free kill on Shadow Fiend. Like he can just pretty much dive him himself. So if he gets a lot of help from Wisp with some good stacking and just, you know, if he goes an early bottle and just helps him and babysits him in mid, it could be a very, very effective pick.
Well, we'll find out. Will be Dindy taking the Shadow Fiend into mid. Let's talk about the IO. How do you think they're going to want to utilize this the most?
Like laning wise, or
no, just in general. I mean, are we having a remake?
Oh, I always keep this tab down so I can't see. Let's see what someone said. Oh, misclick. Can we remake with Slark?
For who?
For ex-RoX.KIS. I think Nyx was Slark, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I guess that would make a little bit more sense.
I mean, we didn't even talk about that.
Anyway, we're going to kick it out to the front screen, and we'll be remaking the lobby in just a moment. So looks like that'll be a Slark pick, actually, and we're going to be getting ready to head out again. We are live here from the HQ, the HyperX offices, and their LAN environment, I guess, that they've built to support esports. We'll be right back with Game 1 of our second best of 3 of the day, RoX and Na'Vi in an elimination match. Stick with us. All right, we're back after a quick remake, and everyone seemed to agree it was all right. Apparently a bit of a misclick on the last pickup, the Nyx assassin not fitting in as well as the Slark. BZZ, speaking of, will be handling that Slark. Both teams are going to move out as 5, but they're not going to be anywhere near each other, so not a whole lot of potential for action to lead things off. How do you think the laning phase is going to end up playing out here?
It's hard for me to like think about what ex-RoX.KIS is doing because I haven't processed the Slark pick yet. Which, by the way, he's got some really cool items. He looks really badass, I must say. But Na'Vi, it's probably just standard stuff. It's probably going to be tied off. Solo mid with Dendy. Probably Wisp helping him out, hoping he can tether and stack some stuff. Yeah, he's already tethered to break some trees for easier stacking. So, yeah, probably just standard stuff from Na'Vi. Now looking at the lineup here for ex-RoX. Sadoid, commonly their off-lane player. He has been playing solo safe just because they've been doing aggressive tri-lane so much. But yeah, he also has a cool set. But he's probably going to go top, solo mid. And then, yeah, it looks like standard stuff from both teams, actually.
It's a shame I can't use the showcase mode to show off the sets. I was informed that that is not a good thing. It's currently bugged in Dota TV, and our poor viewers can't switch away from it whenever I do. So those wanting to zoom in, that's why I'm not using it. Anyway, the horn blows, and we are underway, and we'll watch the lanes take shape. This is Game 1, once again, of our second best of 3 of the day. This is win or go home time, and we're actually going to see Goldblack eating some damage. Caught with the Sacred Arrow from behind. Puppey doing some very nice body blocking, and they should be able to clean him up, and will, as the big tree takes first blood, and Na'Vi off to a rolling start.
Well, that just makes me look like a complete idiot, because he, like, used to that level 1 leech seed, and I was just talking for, like, 2 minutes about how it's not as good anymore, which it still isn't, but he went through a Photic Shield as well, and still hit him. I think it's more that his auto-attack damage is so freaking high, is what makes him such a beast. I also thought that the arrow duration for the stun was, like, way longer than it seemed. Like, I felt like it should have been way shorter than that, but got a long duration stun, or at least long enough. An easy peasy kill. First blood goes to Puppey.
Up, down at bottom, tied. Caught with a Nightmare and cleaned up there as well. Got there just in time to see Yul and BZZ converging right below the tier 1. And Funnick gives one right back, so make it 1-1 now. And this could be an action-packed game. Goldblack has joined up with Sadoy up at top lane. That will be a duo lane of Puppey and Havos trying to deal with that. We will see, of course, Kuro helping Dindy out here in mid, and Dindy didn't see if he went for level 1 Necromastery or Raises. Doesn't matter. He's level 2, so he's got them both now. And Funnick going to be doing his thing over here at the Ancients, learning the hard way that this is not a duo lane to mess with Slark, and you'll have a lot of kill potential on with that bait.
I don't think I've always seen Denny just go the pool or the Wraith Band plus tangos with pool, and I've never seen him go for the Raise first. But not to say he can't or won't, but bottom line, I don't know why he does this. I've seen him do this several times. I don't know why he doesn't get a Stout Shield on Tide. I see almost everyone else get it. Yesterday we had Universe playing it. He buys it all the time. It mitigates a lot of damage. I know the argument's there that if you get levels with a Kraken Shell, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But you have to get there first, and dying early on doesn't help. So
Sadoy in some trouble here in the jungle. And Puppy's right there. Hit him with the Leech Sheet arrow. Who dodged, and he will be able to make it away because of that using the Scorch Earth. Yeah, I actually read up on that. There were some people that were messaging me about it. They have some comments on Reddit. And again, I learned something about Dota. That's one thing I love about Dota, is there's always a ton to learn. And yeah, the interaction, like you said, points in the Kraken, he does have 1 into it, so he's using that to justify. Basically, if you don't put a second point in the Kraken and do have a Stout Shield, you do actually have a chance to proc and block 30 damage instead of 20, and that's not the biggest deal in the world, and many folks feeling like that doesn't justify the initial investment into it. So, like you said, that's the argument, but if you want to put your first point in the Kraken Shell, it's understandable why you wouldn't want to go with that. We actually just heard a Nightmare onto Funnick. BZZ right there lets the damage tick away as much as possible. Funnick eating a lot of damage right now. And let's see if he's going to be able to get away. BZZ has brown boots. Funnick being helped out now by the living armor. He's still quite low, and that living armor is going to expire shortly.
He's got 7, 8
Yeah, he's going to try to deny himself. And nope, unable to do so. That's 2 kills now for BZZ, bringing down Tidehunter once again. 2-1, RoX has the lead.
Okay, you know how much better, though, if he goes into lane with Anchor Smash and a Stout Shield? So he does, he hits them. They do, if he would be doing like 40 damage instead of 80. And then he would also have a Stout Shield for proccing and, preventing auto-attack damage that way. I just feel like it's 10 times better. Not to mention you can last hit with it, too.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that at all. But, yeah, nonetheless, good kills there. He waited the full duration for the sleep so he didn't sleep himself once he pounces and auto-attacks and whatnot. But they are doing good things in mid. Dendy's actually, Panda's CS is right there with him despite Wisp helping him out.
Yep.
So Panda's solo, he's not doing too bad. He's actually doing very well as long as there's some decent stacking going on, and there is. So KuroKy's getting some very good stacks, and that's the X factor here.
Yep, and the difference in experience actually isn't all that big. It's about half a level right now in favor of Solo, but like you said, Solo is right there with CS, and he's doing fine. But as Shadow Fiend continues to level up, it gets harder and harder and harder. Solo will hit 6 somewhat soon, and we'll see how quickly he wants to try to put that to use. Try to keep an eye everywhere, because there is actually a fair amount of kill potential everywhere. BZZ is a pretty good... is off to a pretty damn good start up at top. Looks like they wanted to engage on the puppy, giving him some right clicks. Havost is there, though. Has plenty of mana for a Sacred Arrow and Leap if he needed to avail himself of those. Doesn't look like he does, but how quickly do you think either of these teams is going to want to try to break down the laning phase?
Well, I think RoX.KIS wants to kind of break it down faster, especially when you're up against the Shadow Fiend. If you take time and you're slow against the Shadow Fiend, especially with stacking coming out, he just comes out with like a Midas and then 14, 15-minute Trez BKB, and then it becomes really difficult to actually fight him. So, and I think RoX.KIS' lineup has the potential to do that. Like, they have decent lanes. They've already got a very good start on killing Funnick a number of times. He's still level 1. He's still level 1. Stacking Ancients quite a lot, but he's not going to be able to farm that for quite some time with this really big stop into his farming. More stacking. He's got really unfortunate spawns in that medium camp. It's 4 mud golems, but he's got a huge stack in this main hard camp, though, which is really good.
That does suck. That's such a pain. But yeah, being helped out now by Kuro and going to work. Looks like we got a Pursuit, Puppy, and Sadoy giving each other pats on the back, as the case may be. Puppy's now going to be chased down as he uses Scorched Earth. There's the leap ahead from Havost. Gold Black is there, though. Living Armor helping out Havost, so a lot of trading in the paint. But neither side really able to gain an advantage. Funnick has once again been slept at bottom. BZZ there with the pounce again. Funnick's just going to try to TP away. Doesn't matter.
And he wastes the TP. Yep. This is not a good play.
At level 4, at level 4, you had to know Bane was going to have 2 points in a brain sap. Had to know it, and there's just too much burst there. There's no way he was making it away there. Minus up, sub 6 minutes for Dindy, so he's in great shape. Did he actually clear that camp? Yeah, he cleared the entire hard camp with the help of Kuro. So 44 CS, and he's off to a great start.
Yeah, it also gives a lot of experience to Funnick too, or sorry, to KuroKy as well, who really needs it, especially when you're not really like standard laning phase. Like I'm pulling top lane and I'm harassing and getting my levels that way. So he's not really getting levels except for those stacks that he helped. So Funnick, he's actually moved into the jungle to do some of the stacks because he just cannot lane at all. Yep. Actually, his Anchor Smash is pretty good against the Mud Golems.
Exactly. That's actually pretty smart. And
but he doesn't do very much damage because it's level 1.
Yeah. But still, at least he's getting something done. He's not being completely wasting his time down there. But yeah, it helps Dindy out to an extent as well. Since he can't do a whole lot to the Mud Golems at this level, at least someone will get that experience. And Dindy actually just going to leave that entirely to Funnick as he needs to play catch-up in a very real way. Rest of the lanes are relatively quiet for the moment. Just a whole lot of efficiency stuff going on. BZZ, though, is going to become a problem pretty soon. He's only got 33 last hits, but he does have 2 kills and 1 assist. And he's, I wonder what build he's going to want to go for. I mean, Shadow Blade's pretty damn typical, but I think that he's going to want to get super duper active and really take it on his shoulders to go after Dindy while he's trying to really get his legs underneath.
I think Blink would be fine. I think Tread's Blink would be very, very good. If they... See, Funnick is spending so much time. I mean, he's finally got this done. He's level 3. But I imagine they actually pushed this. Like, they single-poled it. Oh, no, they brought the lane back. I think they should have been pushing
Sadoy in trouble. Arrow's there. Down he goes.
Nice.
Was hit with the Leech Seed. Took some auto-attack damage, and Havost on point with the Sacred Arrow. Solo doesn't have enough mana right now for his ulti, and is taking a lot of damage. Raze canceled it out, so wasn't going to hit him with it regardless. But a pretty tight one so far in the first 8 minutes or so. It's 3-2. About a 500 gold lead right now for RoX, but again, that's quite negligible.
I think they're making a big mistake not just shoving this and pushing this lane. I think I think as a general rule, hold that thought, is they're actually maybe nope. As a general rule, if their offlane hero leaves, you should just pressure it and make them come back.
Yep.
And if they don't come back, you get a free tower. If they come back, well, you wasted their time. Kind of. But I think it's way better than keeping the lane static, especially when you've killed him twice. Like, if he comes back, you can just kill him again. So, yeah, I think they're making kind of a big mistake here, not pressuring this lane enough. In fact, they have no damage onto the tower. Not to mention, it's up against a Treant who, as levels progress, it's just going to become much more difficult to push it. So, yeah.
I'll tell you someone who's benefited a lot from this is Kuro on this IO. He's halfway between 5 and 6 already, so he's going to have a very quick 6. And again, it comes down to, like, and we had a brief discussion at the end of that Empire Fnatic match about how Empire really didn't use Relocate in any meaningful way. They may have used it once or twice in the game, but I highly, highly doubt it. For the most part, even if they did, like you said, it didn't have a big impact. It was mostly about the overcharge and using the spirits a little bit early on. Do you think this will be a game where Na'Vi will want to be a little more proactive with it? In particular, maybe trying to use that as an initiation tool for the Tidehunter so he could skip Blink?
The Relocate?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think you want to relocate into, like, Panda ulti or Doom, or even Slark is very good against relocate because he can just ult and then you can't kill him. So
right.
I actually don't think that relocate is going to be too effective this game unless they start to steamroll. Like, if you get some really good fights, which you can because SF has a ton of farm. Like, he's going to have BKB so fast, like I mentioned, just because of all this stacking. It's ridiculous how fast he's farming. But, yeah, I don't think relocate's going to be too prevalent in this game.
Yeah, he's up to 80 CS right now. Look at this. Satoy and Pup, you're right next to each other now. Spotted, there's the Leech Seed. Havost has a Sacred Arrow and his ulti at the ready. There's going to be the relocate. Brings in Dindy. Dindy gets doomed, but he's going to secure the kill regardless. So they end up bringing down the Doom. Here comes Solo, though. Has the split ready if he wants to. Moonlight Shadow has been deployed. Solo, there's the relocate to get him back to safety. And the tail end of the relocate, I should say. He didn't use it. It was just the result. Goldblack now eating a fair amount of damage. We use the Aphotic Shield. That's not going to last forever. He takes a spill. Solo still chasing down Funnick. A Nightmare on the Puppy and a Fiend's Grip on Havost. Solo, are you going to split, buddy? Still hanging on to it. Does not want to spend it unless he feels like he's going to get a lot out of it. Courier's actually spotted. He may be able to track down Havost. He's actually getting slowed by the Ghost from the camp, though. Not going to matter. Yol's there nonetheless. Puppy now cutting up to the north and trying to make it back to the tier 2.
He has a blink in one.
Yep, BZZ. Yep, there you go. Ready to pounce after the clap, and this is the aggressive potential of a lineup and a composition that is built for it. And this is how Goldblack and company like to play. And they draft for this style all the time. The trick is to try to give up as little as you can and counterpunch when you can. Yol, sitting atop the high ground now, has a lot of help behind him. Sadoy's there, as is BZZ. And there's going to be the split. He's just going to go on Dindy and Kuro. Kuro's going to be the one who's focused down. And actually, yeah, he's able to tether away, but he's going to be tossed in the air by the storm aspect. Here comes Havost. Arrow's going to be off the mark. BZZ re-engaging. Dindy down to half health. They managed to bring him down. Bane ends up taking the drop as well. Puppy gets off the overgrowth. Hit 6 not long ago. Havost doing what he can. Has Sacred Arrow up in 5 seconds. We'll see if he wants to try and take a shot in the dark. But for now, looks like ex-RoX able to just reset. No! Solo comes back in, hits the clap, and manages to clean up Tree, and the pounce is on the mark onto Havost. That's going to make it 8-5. And the laning phase breaking down, is to put it mildly. Everyone involved in this battle at top. 13 kills in an 11.5-minute game, and it's favoring at the moment ex-RoX.KIS.
Yeah, Navi should just not be fighting. Like, long, drawn-out engagements are so beneficial to this lineup that Team Goldblack has presented. Like, Abaddon loves to fight for a long amount of time. Same thing with Bane.
Exactly.
We saw Brewmaster hold the ulti so long, so it was actually more effective later on. Slark also loves to fight like long, drawn-out fights because every single time he hits in Fog, he just regens any HP he lost. He's now got a completed Shadow Blade. It looked really good at the beginning there for Navi. It was a really long fight, but just as I said, relocate wasn't going to be a factor. They relocated in. It was actually very effective. Killed out Doom. He did use the ulti, but it was on a full HP SF, and he didn't have any backup. So it looked really good at the start from Navi, but like I said, it was drawn out. Yeah. And you don't want to do that against this lineup that ex-RoX.KIS has.
Yeah, I completely agree. And to tell you the truth, I think that kind of fits RoX.KIS' style as a team, let alone their composition. They love to just have these extended periods of fight. Yeah. And, hang on, there's a smoke out of Navi. Moving now through the Radiant jungle. They got a target to the north. That'll be BZZ. Has his Shadow Blade complete and just has it come off of cooldown now. RoX is grouped up as 4 here in mid. They're going to go ahead and cut north. They're positioned to the south, at least for the moment. They're going to move past the Roche Pit up onto the ridgeline. And here we go. Moonlight Shadow will be used, and they're going to try to take a run.
They have a sentry. They have a sentry right there, so you'll know what's up.
Yep, there we go. There's Funnick. He's still going to get the Ravage off. Solo does not have his ulti. He still needs a lot of time. They managed to bring down a Batten immediately. Dindy's in trouble, though. Got doomed. There's an overgrowth that might buy him a little bit of time, and he's going to try to make it away. They go 1 for 1, and there's the relocate to get him back home to safety. Pup, oh, wow. Big crit coming out of Solo with that double damage. And Drunken Brawler, absolutely legit.
Funnick was standing around for like no reason. He does miss the pounce. I think they're still going to catch him, though. Solo has a blink in 1 second. He can blink around. Nicely done. Full range blink. He didn't click too far away, so it actually hinders your range just a little bit. Yep. Understood that. Very nicely played. But I don't know what Funnick was doing. Like, he was just sitting right around here by the tier 2 just watching, like, Tree walk away. Right. And he had no business being up there. So, too many kills.
Courier. Courier down.
Nice.
Moving north through the Radiant jungle. Looked like they were trying to take a shot at Kuro, who was spotted in lane, I do believe. But instead, managed to find a Courier, which is honestly much better than an IO kill at this stage of the game. Tier 1's also going to drop. And there's an arrow on the mark against Sadoy, but BZZ is right up in front. And that's some excellent game sense and just good restraint out of Navi, connecting with that. And there had to be the instinct. And let's be honest, Havost tends to go with his gut and engage in the situation sometimes a little blindly. That time, held on even though he had some backup behind him, just knowing he would have been going into the dark, and he would have been going into BZZ, who is already off to a phenomenal start. Has the Shadow Blade treads and his Orb of Venom already done, and he may even have something on the Courier at this point. Yeah, he's actually got an Ogre Club already done.
Yeah, they're really going to have to wait for this BKB to come on for SF before they actually really want to fight. And even then, I don't know how effective it's going to be because you can just doom him. So I still stand by thinking that Shadow Fiend is a good pick here. I don't think it was bad. I just think they're getting massively outplayed. I really feel like Funnick dying too many times in the offlane would really set the tone.
Oh yeah.
And not to mention, I really like the draft from RoX.KIS. I think it's really well put together.
Solo forces the leap TP out of Havost, gets there just in time. The tower will be in deny range, and yeah, they'll be able to clean these creeps up no problem and get the deny most likely. Yep, as the Catapult takes his spill, so does the Tier 1. On top, Kuro has eyes on Goldblack. Dindy's right there with him. But so far, the early phases of the game, like you said, pretty much massively favoring RoX, but they can't seem to open up as big a lead as they would like. They've actually lost a little bit of ground as of late. They had it up to about 3K, actually closer to 4K the lead. And, you know, the tower going down certainly hurts that. But if they can get the Tier 1 here, they'll be fine. At top, Goldblack trying to hold together the Tier 1 there. The TP in the mid, there's going to be a Nightmare onto Puppey. The tower nonetheless drops, and there's going to be a Fiend's Grip onto Havost. He has no one coming in to help him, though. There, finally, BZZ does land. And Moonlight Shadow going to be used. Yol eating a lot of damage, does end up dropping on the double Starfall proc, and now Havost and Puppey should be able to make it away quite easily. At bottom, they do manage to bring down the Tier 1 nonetheless. Goldblack still fighting the good fight at the Tier 1 top, and BZZ moving through the jungle, and he's going to wait and probably, just going to go to work. Hits the pounce onto Puppey. Puppey tries to save himself with the Living Armor, BZZ gets another pounce, and he has a chance at a Vos. A Vos a little too quick, though.
Oh, he's kind of poking back in. He has a leap up in 2 seconds, though. So, yeah, very nicely played by Slark. He just went past there and just kind of guessed it, and he found him, too. So, I mean, they were invis from the Moonlight Shadow for a long time. But, yeah, very nicely played.
All right, so it's 12-7, 16 minutes in. Still, RoX' lead, but not nearly as big as they would like. How do you like the way these two teams develop out as we get closer to, say, 25 to 30 minutes as opposed to 15?
I still think it's going to be not too good for Na'Vi. Like, I don't think they have the capabilities to really fight RoX for a long time. And I think it's going to have to happen. They're going to have to get, like, a blink on... Oh, actually, Tide's pretty close to his blink. He's actually 200 gold off, so... He has recovered significantly as far as farm goes, so that's going to be their key, I think, is blink, blow up someone before they can cast a spell that has a very, very important spell, like Panda or Doom. Like, they need to kill them immediately. But the thing is like, if you kill one, then the other one still has such an amazing ability. So I still feel like this is going to be a big problem. They're going to need a... Okay, the blink on Tide is coming out very soon. Oh, speaking of, he's actually in trouble. He's dead again.
Funnick dies. In the meantime, Dindy's trying to peck away at Roshan here. Na'Vi's going to have Kuro there to try and help him, but they're
they
tier 2.
Spotted the arrow from Havost down there, so they should know that they're doing it.
Puppey moving his way down. Yeah, they're immediately collapsing. This could be a make-or-break moment for Na'Vi. They will be able to vacate before the arrival of Gold Black and company. They're on the high ground now on the Dire side and hanging on for the moment. Sodoy and Solo are going to push in mid and try to free up some space for perhaps his own team to move in. Nope, never mind. They're going to double back into mid. There's a Scepter done on the Panda. Brewmaster gets it up short of 18 minutes. Blink finally up on Funnick. And I'm actually, like I said, I felt like maybe that was an option. They could have saved that gold for something else, but...
I think he just sold like his magic stick to get that, because he had 1,800 gold when he died.
Yeah.
So he had to have sold the magic stick or something else he had, but I think it was a magic stick. Maybe a bottle? I don't know. Whatever. He sold something.
We've got RoX in Roche, and Na'Vi knows about it. Solo's actually up on the high ground, keeping an eye on them. And it looks like Na'Vi's not that interested in trying to challenge it, just realizing this is not a fight they're likely to win.
Yeah, arrow hits Go Black, but he has his ult. This is really bad for Na'Vi. Also, you just bought your blink on Tide, who did sell an item, who wanted to use that and maybe fight and contest that Roche, but they just can't. I think it's smart of them instead of just going in there and trying something that they know was going to fail anyway. So it's better to do that, cut your losses, and maybe split push elsewhere, as Dendy and Brokey are doing. But yeah, okay, two key things. They need the blink on Tide, and they need like a ton of damage, just straight damage on SF. Yep. Like, you cannot build defensive against this team, I don't feel. Because you're going to die anyway, I think, if they get the right opening. You just need damage.
Speaking of SF, he and Kuro pecking away at the tier 2 bottom, while Gold Black and his team work on the tier 2 mid. Should be an even trade. And will be. No real attempt to challenge it. They could have relocated in if Na'Vi wanted to fight, but this is definitely a ratted out kind of a situation for Na'Vi, it seems. They're just not interested in taking a head-on fight at all.
Yep, Doom with a blink dagger. God, that's going to be really easy for him to initiate now, too. So the problem of team fight just becomes even more so for Na'Vi. You got nice items coming out on Go Black. He's got Tranquils, all this other stuff, on top of 2,000 gold. So he could buy whatever. Force Staff is probably pretty good. Do they have a mech on someone, maybe? Maybe he could go... Oh, yeah, they have a mech on Doom. Never mind. So, yeah, Force Staff or Yules or something like that.
Puppey could be in trouble again. BZZ using that Shadow Blade and problems. Gets the auto attack, the pounce right afterwards. Puppey has overgrowth, but actually just going to use Nature's Guise and the Living Armor. So good thinking there, and it's about time they really need to start buying. They need to either buy a gem or get some dust sentries or something up. That's a free kill for them that unable to avail themselves of. Just about 4,500 gold, actually. Yeah, 4,500 gold or more on Dindy now. What do you think's the right item choice at this point in his progression?
Daedalus.
Definitely just
yeah,
crit, flat out crit?
Yeah, crit. And, I mean, yeah, I think that has to be the item. You could go for Manta too, or I just don't want to see him go for, like, a Satanic, because I just feel like he's their only source of damage. Havos has no item. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm wrong. Havos does have a Maelstrom, but his CS is really low. He should have much more, but
down
had
at
to
bottom.
move around. We've
got the Panda split on. Havos is right there with him. He uses Moonlight Shadow. Dindy was forced to use his 10-second instance of BKB there. I think that was his 10. Yeah, it was. So uses it just to retreat. Kind of a big deal, but certainly better than feeding to the Panda. And Funnick's doing okay. He will be grabbing the mech. He's got the chainmail and the headdress up. And speaking of BKB, Slark adds one to his inventory as well.
That's really good because almost right now, until you get another big item on SF, it's going to be Butterfly, it seems. So actually not too bad. I think Butterfly's okay. It does a lot of damage in this instance because he attacks so fast, and with high souls, attack speed's actually the best way to get more damage, other than a Daedalus. But yeah, so I think that's fine. Funnick, I was going to mention something about him, and it slipped my mind. So yeah.
Well, Funnick started out with a troublesome laning phase and has not really picked a whole lot up after that. He's 0-5-3, has been involved in slightly less than half of Navi's kills, but their kill total not particularly impressive, as they're almost doubled up now.
Here comes Slark on the back end. Wants to find somebody.
Looking for it, and there's going to be a Fiend's Grip on Havost. BZZ reveals himself. He's going to BKB. The Overgrowth goes through, of course, and Havost will be able to teleport away because of that. So the BKB, the 10-second instance, wasted on Slark as well, and they miss out on another opportunity. I actually feel like Navi's doing a pretty damn good job of playing some slippery Dota and not giving up a whole lot.
Yeah, they're doing what they have to. Like they cannot just fight RoX head-on, and that's exactly what RoX wants to do. Like they want to go fighting. Their heroes are like very strong at this point in the game.
Yeah.
The scary thing is I feel like they don't really fall off that much. I think Slark is very, very good in late game. Panda kind of does. Doom never gets bad. So it is kind of scary, but they are doing the right thing. And Dendy does have a completed Butterfly now.
Yep. I think the biggest win Navi's had is they're really preventing RoX from achieving any secondary goals. You know, granted, there's only 2 towers still standing, top tier 2 and the bottom tier 2. But they're nonetheless doing a good job of not giving up many kills even when it seems like they should be. And more importantly, they've been able to keep these towers up for a while. This is not the position you want to be in, though, with the tree. You don't want to be at 23 minutes and all of your towers being whittled away. Usually you want to have all your towers up and map control. Big part of your game plan, but they can't even come defend this, especially with BZZ having a double damage.
Yeah, all the towers except for one outer tower are gone, and it looks like, do they have the Aegis still? Yeah, they do. Okay, yeah, this is their time to push. I think this is smart. But
keep in mind, we saw this the other day. These pushes in the tier 3s this early are so risky, and if you go for them and don't get them, it can come back to bite you. That happened, and that's one of the reasons why they wound up in the lower bracket to begin with.
The difference is that last time they had a Pugna in the front lines. This time they have 3 Oh, here we go.
There we go. Solo's going to initiate. Has split. He thought about it again. He's trying to fake it out. In the meantime, tier 3 being whittled away. Yep, he's basically just running interference. There's going to be a big blink Ravage that caught 4, but no follow-up.
Oh, nice.
And SF tossed it in the air by the Storm aspect. Down goes Tide. SF's going to be surrounded and has to BKB, but he's doomed immediately. Puppy there with the Overgrowth. Don't know that it'll be enough. He goes down. Havost is next on the list. BZZ just chopping wood on the Priestess of the Moon. Goldblack was there to help out and clean up. Buyback from Dindy and Havost. They want to extend this game. They know they have to. Finally, they deploy the Glyph just as the tier 3's about to drop. Yul's there and will be, no, not quite brought down. BZZ will be back up off of that Aegis. There's a very fortuitous Maelstrom proc that actually gets a double kill because it bounced from 1 to 2 very low health heroes. And BZZ, spotted on the high ground and taken down. Now, that was a 4-man wipe. However, it did cost Na'Vi considerably. They're going to be able to heal the tier 3, so it's well worth it for them to sell out and to try and keep that tower standing. But it did require buybacks on their 2 most important farming cores, the Mirana and the Shadow Fiend. So Shadow Fiend had to invest some gold, and love that Maelstrom proc.
That was, yeah, fortuitous was a great word. Like, yep. That was really unlucky, too, especially for the Bane. I think Abaddon was going to die anyway just to an auto attack.
Yep.
But the proc went and just connected to the Bane. That Abaddon sacked his life to save.
Yep.
So it killed him. It was actually really unlucky for Bane, or lucky, whoever wanted to look at it for.
Yeah, one of them should have gotten away, I think, if it wasn't for the Maelstrom proc.
It was Bane definitely would have lived. It was going to be a really cool save because Abaddon just threw everything out there. To start that all out, honestly, though, I think it was Bane's fault. Like, he got arrowed, 5-second arrow. I feel like they could have easily backed off if he didn't get arrowed after the buybacks. But because of that, it's the save your buddy syndrome, as you mentioned. Yep. It got 2 of them killed instead of, well, 3 of them killed, and Slark stuck around because of it. And he died as a result with the Aegis. So it could have been a lot better had Yul not got hit by that arrow.
Nightmare on the Dindy in mid. Just Yul's there. Here comes the rest of the team. They're thinking about it. Nope, there's going to be a relocate. Dindy's going to come in. Yes, relocate just to the south. Uses his ulti, but Goldblack just simply pops borrowed time. Has it procced, I should say. Now there's going to be a Doom on the Dindy. This is a fight where they are not looking very organized. Now they're going to get it together after the split. Havost should end up dropping and will. And now a good pounce onto Funnick. Overgrowth slows things down, but Funnick can't get away. Dindy probably needs to clear out. This is not a situation he wants to remain in. Puppy can do nothing but run. Dindy trying to juke around. There's the dust. Manages to find the Shadow Fiend, and down he goes. Triple kill for Solo. And right before that fight broke out, I was actually just about to start talking about how much I've enjoyed watching Solo play the Brew. Even on that siege of the Tier 3, the way he ran interference and basically just said, okay, you want to protect your Tier 3, you have to come through a split. He didn't, he waited. He was so patient with it. And it really allowed them to churn things out in that top lane. Now, more good play from him. They managed to get a big win, and they're going to get a set of racks most likely out of it. Neither the Mirana nor the Shadow Fiend can buy back, and without them, they don't have damage.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. He did play it really well. He actually split up top right when Tide went in with the Ravage, like the head of his team, and then his team couldn't catch up because the stun came out, the boulder, whatever it's called, onto Puppy, and then he actually used the Yule's one onto Dendy before he was able to get his BKB off, so he was completely useless for the first half of that fight, and then he had to buy back, and then the rest was history. But this fight, a kind of weird relocate, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I thought he was going to relocate him out. I didn't even think he needed to use relocate at all. Because if you actually look, RoX.KIS wasn't planning on going on him after that sleep. So
I'll tell you what was weird about it was I'm fine with short distance relocates. Hang, hold that thought. I'm not even going to have time to talk about it. As RoX is not about to let up. BZZ gets eyes on Havos, misses with the pounce, and we'll double back now. Living Armor doing its best on this tower, but they should be able to push here. And yeah, looks like they actually want to play it patiently. They're not going to overcommit here. But anyway, he got caught right in this region. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was right about there. And most of his team was back here. And Pylite Die does this a lot on IO. He relocates, but he won't go all the way back to the base. He'll relocate from like here to, and say like the same situation to like here. And you're back to your team. Instead, he relocated down to here, which was actually amidst the enemy team. So the rest of his team to come help out had a bit of ground to cover. And if he had done the exact same distance but in the other direction, I think that could have gone much better for them. But as it stands, again, Rax down in mid and Na'Vi on the ropes at 28 minutes in.
Yeah, it was actually hard for me to assess the situation, like whether it was good or bad, because it just was unexpected.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect that at all. So then, yeah, it's kind of crazy. There's a gem up on a Treant, so I actually think that's smart. They're really going to need some kind of map control, and that's one way to start it, because it's very easy to just starve the other team when you have a Rax down. Dendy he's still farming like a beast. He's actually the top net worth, but also if he dies in fights, he bought back in that one. Shadow Fiend is actually very bad in buybacks because he loses all of his souls. Avo's taking a little bit of damage, but he should be fine. But he loses all of his souls. When he buys right back, his damage output is not nearly as high as it would be normally. Not to mention, if he didn't ult, his ult's garbage, like without souls. So he's actually not the best hero to buy back. So as you progressively kill him more and more, it becomes very, very easy actually to crack high ground against him, even when he does respawn.
Yeah, that's something I've never really thought about in those terms, but you're exactly right. I mean, there are some heroes that are better to buy back on than others, but Shadow, there aren't many where you would say
Storm is amazing. Like Storm is like one of the best.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I feel like they should have picked him here, but I still think Shadow Fiend's okay.
Na'Vi tucked up under the tier 2. All 5 from RoX are over there. They need to make their decision. They saw Dindy and Kuro, but this is one of the virtues of having an IO +1 combination. They can go do their own thing. You can't be like, oh, they're over there. That means we have a chance to engage. Arrow barely misses, by the way. That barely missed 3 heroes that came up just short of connecting on Yol on the other side. But you can't just assume that, since they're over there, it's 3 on 5. No, it's going to be 5 on 5 mighty quick whenever they decide to make it 5 on 5. And for now, Roche, the target. And there's another arrow shot. That's going to end up connecting on BZZ. They're continuing to split push down top, and they're just trying to get as much out of this as they can. I don't know that Na'Vi, I mean, Roche is going down fairly slow right now. Funnick's in a position to blink and ravage if he wants. He's trying to time it, I do believe. Let's see. There's an arrow, and that didn't catch. There's actually going to be a BKB, and there's the ravage. Who got it? And he got it! Funnick snatches that Aegis. He's going to end up losing it as soon as he gets it, though. But now Na'Vi might decide to re-engage, and they will. Here's Dindy and Kuro.
Grip
Dindy caught with the grip. And down he goes for free. BZZ going under cover of his ulti. Funnick can't do much. He spent Ravage to get the Aegis, but now he's going to end up dropping as well. And there's a well-shot arrow that catches B. No, actually, yes, it was a product off. One of the strengths of a bat is the fact that he can get rid of that. And BZZ right back in the mix. That's a godlike streak for Solo as he notches a double kill. And they're not done. Looks like Funnick, wow, he's actually going to go over there.
Yeah, interesting place to walk.
Yeah.
It kind of closed the gap if you wanted to have some blink distance, but basically he was trying to fog so that he could get his blink off cooldown and go away. I mean, it wasn't like a terrible decision, but nonetheless, this This is really RoX's game to lose. Like they're heroes. I think their draft is so smart.
Yeah,
oh God, I didn't even mean to say that, but yeah, it's so
how smart.
It's so smart.
How smart? Oh,
it's gonna become like a chant, like
a
pre-game chant at like LAN events where they're just gonna how smart, so smart, how smart, so smart.
I want to see the signs. Hang on, BZZ is gonna be caught with an arrow. Havost is there, hooks up with Kuro, and Sidoi there to hit the doom on Havost. He's beast moding it. I don't know that he's got enough in the tank to really chase through 3. He's certainly testing his luck. And Puppey has an overgrowth and will go ahead and use it. Havost doomed, but is he actually going to die here? Here comes Goldblack. Yeah, Goldblack steals it from behind. Now has his borrowed time proc. Sidoi ends up dropping nonetheless. That was a gem, by the way, so he feeds a gem to get a little over-aggressive that time. And BZZ ended up dying as well. They're continuing to press this out. Goldblack in some trouble. Funnick has a gush and will use it. Another gem on the ground. I don't know if that was the same one and he picked it up or what. I actually wasn't paying attention, but either way, that's at least one gem going to Na'Vi. Up at top, Solo's kind of doing his own thing. Did finish an Assault Cuirass as the Vlad's up as well. But, yeah, that's a nice little turnaround for Na'Vi. Get some momentum going in their favor.
He is so farmed on Solo.
Oh,
I mean, I guess he would be when he's just farming, and he's 9-0-9. He hasn't died once.
Yep.
So like that, the auras are really good for Brew too. Like, and he has both of them, both of the best ones, I think.
Oh yeah.
The AC and the Vlad. So, yeah, he is playing so well too from start to finish. And we mentioned this too, as you mentioned in the beginning. I've been really impressed with his play. I think he's really the standout player for the team. Him and Goldblack really for me have just been playing so well, and now with good drafting on top of that. We talked about this in the regular season of D2L, how they picked some really weird stuff, and I actually don't think Goldblack was drafting for a lot of that. I think a lot of it was BZZ. I could be wrong.
They switched it up for sure.
Yeah, but they drafted weird stuff like, oh, there's a gem. Hello.
They never did pick it up?
No.
Oh,
it's
wow.
still sitting there. But yeah, it was like Elder Titan Magnetar, or Magnus, I should say, like all the time. It just never worked, and they just kept picking it. But yeah, now with some more coherent drafts, I think, and this is actually just clever. Like I love everything about it. I think they're really a formidable team.
Yeah, when BCZ gets on a roll, he is a phenomenal player. He's very much a player who does need a decent start, even if he's just a pure farming one position. He does tend to really rely on either getting a safe lane that he's able to farm for a while, or a situation like earlier where he just notches kills because the offlaner he's up against is a little over-aggressive. But looks like they're ready to push Tier 3 once again. That gem, by the way, I think is still hanging out back there unless someone grabbed it on the way through. Tier 3, under assault. Na'Vi has to decide. Looks like they want to go ahead and try to push down the Tier 3 on the other side. And this is probably a trade they're willing to make. Yeah, Shadow Fiend takes down the Tier 3 elsewhere. They're going to have to decide to relocate. There it is! Ravage comes into BCZ. So quick on the BKB, but he's still being chunked away. Has to use the ulti. Doom onto Dindy. Goldblack borrowed time, keeps him alive, and they will go ahead and try to retreat. Overgrowth prevents the TP, though. And Funnick trying to stay ahead of the game. BZZ using the Shadow Blade to try to get away now. Goldblack trapped by one little creep. That is a very, very brave creep who ran in and chased him and prevented any kind of escape. But they got the Tier 3, kept their own standing, and managed to come back and get a couple of kills. So Na'Vi, again, slowly but surely turning things just a little bit. The highest lead of the game was about 10K gold in favor of Team Goldblack, of ex-RoX, but that's been cut down to about 6K now, so they are making progress.
Yeah, I mean, they'll take whatever they can get at this point. Wisp is really making this possible, too, because you can't... It's very difficult when you're down racks, because you have to constantly push out your lane. Here we go.
Went to buy his MKB and got punished for it.
Oh, that means no buyback. He just bought it. I don't know if they spotted that, too, but... Yeah, he's dead for 55 seconds now. No buyback. There's also an MKB onto Slark. He just picked it up, so that butterfly is not going to be as useful for Dendy anymore.
Looks like they, even if they don't know it, they're just going to push it as if they did. Moving as a team down mid now. One lagger, that is Goldblack, who's going to try to play catch-up as best he can. But Mirana's such an important hero. I mean, right now, Dindy is outputting a ton of damage. But he, when they do manage to turn all their guns on him, he drops pretty quickly. They're not going to be able to split push to save this time. Tier 3 goes down uncontested. They're going to have to hook up sometime soon. Can't imagine they're just going to give this away for free.
They can't fight without Havost.
Yeah.
Like, and he just bought his BK or his MKB. Yeah. Kind of a questionable decision to do that, especially when he's like going into the enemy secret shop to buy it. They must have spotted it out. I really think they did, because they just trucked down to that lane. Here we go. This could be the final fight of the game.
Tier 3 once again under assault. And ex-RoX in the mood and spoiling for a fight. There's going to be a two-man clap, and he will go ahead and split Havost. Forced to leap away. Funnick's going to be hit with the rock. 20 seconds until Ravage is up. He mechs through it. Puppy's there doing what he can to try and slow this down a little bit. Here comes Dindy and Kuro. Stormed. Aspect throws him in the air. Here comes Funnick. Funnick, no, unable to get anything off. Puppy did get off the overgrowth, but will it be enough? Sadoy taking a lot of damage, got the Doom off and did manage to retreat. Dindy now being focused fire. Goldblack's going to have borrow time profit. There's another fantastic Fiend's Grip. However, it's interrupted by the Ravage. Funnick off the buyback, and it looks like they're going to be able to force them out. Goldblack drops that gem once again, and they got all but one of the racks. There's a buyback on the Brewmaster. Not sure what the purpose of that was. I guess, yeah, just, oh, that's
save his racks.
Yeah, look at that. Didn't even know they were that low. So his racks in banged up shape manages to keep them up, but this is all that stands between Na'Vi and defeat now. One set of ranged barracks.
It's possible, man. It's because these racks were hurt so badly up top. Like, they can literally relocate, like, kind of far away and then walk in there. Or I guess they could just relocate on it, hit it, and then TP out. That could work, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, it would be very, very difficult. It'd be a crazy-ass game if they were able to come back from this. Here we go. Something's happening.
Oh, BCC goes right on Havost, and he's going to drop immediately behind that Sadoy, taking a lot of damage from Dindy. He unloaded the BKB. Sadoy will end up dropping. Kuro's there, and BCC is caught amidst a whole lot of unfriendly faces. Manages to bring down Kuro. Solo now coming in. Doesn't have split. He's eating a lot of damage. Moved in without split, and he's going to end up dead because of it. They managed to get two. But, oh, actually, there we go. I was going to say, where's the raise? And that's a triple kill now for Dindy. And they have to send one back to try and deal with these massive waves of mega creeps that are washing against their base now. But they go 3 for 2. BZZ going on Havost.
They saw him blink because they have a very aggressive ward. They know that Yul's in here.
Oh.
Look at them.
Oh, no. Oh, Nightmare. Nightmare.
Yeah, nicely done by Puppy.
Yep.
Yeah, very, very good kill. Yul died. Oh, I thought someone else died, but yep. They're going to have to send Funnick at least back. Do they have time to get this racks is the question. I think they do. Yeah, there's a lot of people dead. Slark does have a buyback, I'm pretty sure. Let me check this. Slark, yeah, he has a buyback. So if he really wants to, he should probably do it the second he knows that they're going to commit, like right now, or just not buy back at all.
I don't think he should. At this point, I mean, what are you going to do? They're going to use the glyph and try to slow things down.
He should have bought back earlier if he was going to buy back at all. Oh, okay,
there we go. Never mind. Goldblack's going to go and catch him with the Yules. And toss him in the air. If they get Dindy here, that's a pretty big deal, and they do.
And Kuro
unable to get there in time. And Kuro ends up dropping as well, so they bait that perfectly. I did not think he was going to buy back. I thought they were just going to concede that. And now they're going to take a run down mid. Does he have buyback? Yes, he does. So Dindy can buy back if he needs to. But, yeah, I can't believe these are both standing. 41 HP on that set of range racks. Could not bring it down.
Crazy. And then a refresher coming out for Doom now. So he's going to have double ulti, and then again, like I said, even though Denny has buyback, this is not a good buyback hero. He's going to have only 18 souls. His ult's not going to do anything. And even though his damage is ridiculous without the souls, every bit counts, or every bit adds up. Dendy buys an MKB.
There it is.
And there's the buyback. So here we go.
Kuro is down for the count. He's still got 20 seconds, so it'll be 4 on 5. And they're ready to try to crest high ground. Solo's going to move up with the Aphotic Shield. They're going to jump on top of him. Immediately, there's the split and the Doom on the Dindy. Sadoy goes ahead and refreshes. And Dindy caught from behind by the rock. Ravage buys him some time. Isn't enough? No, Dindy goes down. And now Ty tossed in the air by the air aspect. GG is called. So game 1 in this elimination series in our lower bracket here at the HyperX D2L Western Challenge Playoffs goes the way of the team without a team. The 5 players rolling without an actual sponsor, without an actual name, fought their way in as our bottom seed coming out of the group stage, and now 1 win away from sending Na'Vi, the perennial powerhouse, packing here in the first round of the lower bracket.
Pretty fun game. Honestly, they controlled it from start to finish. They really did. Funnick did not have a good time in the beginning. I really feel like that's what set the pace for this game. Like, Dendy was farmed out of control. Like, he was farming so fast thanks to the help of Kuroki stacking, but because they gave up so many kills bottom to BZZ, Slark had a very timely Lothars, and I just think the draft in general was just better by RoX. I think that everything was, like I said, coherent. You had a very good early game. Bane was a great support for that. You had amazing team fight and just very tanky heroes. And you mentioned, like, it can be scary going up to the high ground. But the difference is yesterday they had a Pugna up in the front, and he just gets blasted. But
right.
This time they had 3 strength tanky heroes. I guess Slark's not really that tanky, but because of his items he was. And then you have an Abaddon sitting behind him with a Bane with defensive sleeves if you need to. So very, very well executed draft. I was a big fan of it.
Well, coming back to the Slark just for a minute is, like you said, you have the Brew, you have the Doom. They're tanky. Abaddon, you can't really engage him or Borrowed Time's going to proc.
Yeah.
Then you got Bane, and we talked about him. For the most part, he can be considered a bit of a survivable kind of a support. But Slark's slippery. He's elusive. If you engage onto him, he's got so many ways to get himself out of trouble, especially once he gets an item like a BKB up, and then with the Lothars and everything else. There was no good target for them to engage. And the way that they managed their fights when they did crest high ground and go tier 3, that was just a thing of beauty to watch. Took 40 minutes, and Na'Vi drops game 1 here in our second series of the day. What could be our final game of the day coming up next if RoX is able to slam the door shut. Na'Vi, though, they want to see a game 3. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. We're live here in the offices of HyperX here in Fountain Valley, California. Just a little bit beside Irvine, give or take, in the LA area one way or the other. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show so far today. It's been a blast, and we've still got a whole lot of best of 3s ahead of us, man. We are into the meat of things, though. One team, one of these two, in fact, will be going home eliminated from our tournament once this series is complete. So make sure you don't miss any of the action. We'll have game number 2 coming up here in just a minute. Again, I'm AC, that's Trouf. You can follow us on Twitter. It's at AC, at AYESEE, and at TroufDota, TRALFDOTA. Game 2, RoX versus Na'Vi, next here on the HyperX D2L Western Challenge Playoffs.